Hey everybody, Big Toad here and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to have a video where I paint the oil painting to the metal, which I planned in a previous video titled How to Plan My Next Oil Painting to the Meadow.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use my standard palette. I've got titanium white, cad yellow light, cad yellow medium, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and a small bit of ivory black, just in case. We'll start out with burnt sienna just to sketch in. First step, I sketch in. So I'm going off of the drawing I did, and we're not trying to be perfect here. Let's start by getting this rock in that's on this edge. Then I don't want to make it look square, and it's going to have some darkness to it on this side, and probably put a little stone in here. Let's see, I'm going to go up this side here, and this is my target zone, but I've decided to put a tree in on the edge of this, a tree trunk, and then I've got this rock here. Again, be careful not to, with this rock there and a smaller one behind it. And then I'll come down with maybe another rock, leaving a little more room here than I thought I would. But that's the scale of the picture. So we'll see what we do with that. All right, so there's my meadow. That's where I'm going to pack the metal at. Let's go ahead and bring a tree in with a little rock there. And remember, I'm going to put a rock here, come down. I'm going to have a nice flat face. It's going to be pretty dark. And a stone in here or two to, okay, and then a stone there. A little one behind it. All right, let's see. How am I doing in here? Because this has got to come down. I need this tree. I need a tree here. I need a tree there. And I need a bigger tree here. Here-ish. Okay, and then this is going to slope into this. Remember, I put that slope, so I'm going to go ahead and put the slope in like that to remind me I'm sloping down. And then put a tree in here, angle one there, maybe one there. Let's see how that all goes. So I've got this larger tree here, tree there. And a tree there. Maybe I'll stop them up higher on this hill, but this hill should continue to go out of sight, and that'll be a tree there. And so my pathway now up here, I got to put in some rocks, which I messed up already with that, but no big deal. I'll have to remember those. Rock here, get a rock in the trail. Want to do that. So we have to meander back and forth to get up this trail. A nice flat rock there. Here a rock, here a rock. And maybe the edge of a rock there. And since I've got room, maybe I can bring a little slope down into that too. Bring that down. So like that, with some slopiness there. That might give it a nice good effect. Okay, so my brush strokes are going to come in like so, and I'm going to guide them in there. This will come out here, but most of these strokes are going to come right up here, and where these match up, we're going to go follow that right up in there. Maybe these right around, so like that. All right, now let's put in some make sure I know where my shadows are. So my shadows are going to be dark. This is, I just went ivory black and burnt sienna for that. And I can come in lighter there if I need it. This tree. Maybe come in with a little more burnt sienna, lighten that up a smidgen. Around there with some rocks here. Some shadows there. And these are the darks on the shadows for the rocks that are in place there already. This tree, let's darken that tree in there. Maybe put this shadow a little bigger. Okay, now we're going to have shadows on this side of this tree. And definitely this side of this tree. Put in some shadows. So we put that in there. We know we're going to have shadows on that tree, shadows on that tree. We know we're going to have shadows on this tree, shadows on this tree. And we're going to bring shadows down. I'm going to come in with something a little lighter now for my shadows on the ground. Because I want to put a shadow here streaking across that is from a tree that's off screen. Okay, that'll give it some pizzazz to it. And then of course all this is going to be in shadow because the sun rays are coming from the mountain this way. So since this is sloping down, I want to make sure I have lots of shadow in here. And give me a little more my shadow color. And this is just to mark my shadow. So, well, it's not shadowy now. You got too much white in it. Don't worry about it. And we're going to shadow in around these rocks too to give it some shadowy in there. We're going to have to bring the shadow in here. Shadow in here, you see. And shadow coming off of this large rock. And let me get some more white in there. So a shadow here, shadow here, shadow here. You don't have to be quite so dark. We'll have to darken some of this up later, but this is to shadow reminder. So we're going to have lots of darkness back in here. So let's come in with some dark. But I want to use, for that dark, I'm going to go with a yellow ochre darkened up quite a bit. Some burnt sienna and some ultramarine blue to darken that up so it's a different dark in there. Can you remember all this? Yeah, well, who knows? Okay, now for the ground. It's got to be dirt, but you got to be careful not to go in with just brown. But for the dirt, I'm just laying this color in to give me. This is what we would refer to more as a block in. So I did the sketch, and now I did try to get my shadows. Now I'm doing a block in. You see, well, this dirt is pretty dark. Or we'll save that. We'll come in with some lights on top of it, and darks to create the illusion of dirt in here. So it's really ugly at this point, and this is Definitely what you would call the ugly stage. Blocked it in. So now, if you were using a reference, I'd be getting close to the point now where I would no longer want the reference because it's going to keep me from expressing myself with this painting. Now, the trick to this painting is right up there. I want everything to flow towards that meadow. I need to make me some gray. All right, so fill my rocks in. It's dark, I know, but it'll maintain my rocks for me. It will maintain my rocks. I won't lose them that way. So remember, I got rocks here I gotta remember. Okay. And a rock here, don't want to forget. And a rock here with a rock there. I'm going to have to separate those rocks out. A rock here. And this rock. Okay. All right. A rock here. A rock here. And there. Maybe add it more in there. Okay, so that looks pretty good for blocking in my rocks. Now I'm going to go with a little lighter gray for those trees. Okay, and then I can use this gray on my rocks also. So tree here, tree here. This is the sunny side of that tree. Tree here. Okay, oh, this is the tree, yeah. They almost lost myself in it. I'll put the tree in there. Okay, and we know this is a tree here. This is one of the main trees. I need to make sure I get in there. We're going to have a tree right along this edge. A tree right there. Bring down a tree there. Bring up a tree here maybe. A couple wacky trees in here. Let's see. This is looking ugly, but this is what we need. That's a big tree there, a big tree here. Blocking the side of that little tree there. Okay. All right, now in there, let's go back to this color. Because it's right at the gateway to the, so I want some extra shadow there. All right, let's just tap in something like this to get me started on my so now I've done my sketching, my first step with just all the lines. Then I went in and put in my darks. Then I went in and began to put in my lights. Now I've got it blocked in. So now I'm going to come in, bring the slope down, work up towards that glowy light. So I'm probably going to start with the ground is my pathway. So I'm going to start with the ground and bring it around. Definitely going to have some darks up here in that. And I can even bring in a little ultramarine blue with burnt sienna to really pop some dark around that. Okay. Now we wanted to really emphasize this tree and its darkness in the shadow. All right. All right, come back now. Get some dark dark burnt sienna. Oh, I like that stroke there. That's got some niceness to it, and I can come back in with a little bit of dark on that. You see, this is going to take you forever. If you haven't watched me paint before, this is the first one, which I haven't done a lot of videos yet. This is one of my earlier ones, I admit. Then you'll know that this is very soothing for me to get into this. And I will come back in with some colors to lighten it up where I'm needed once I've got to develop a pattern coming off of there, and I got to make sure I have enough paint. Last thing you want to do is just smudge instead of put a nice stroke of paint on there. We're not smudgers, we're painters. So at least we try to be painters and not smudgers. Alright, so I'm going to paint along this edge in case it ever gets visible. A nice dark edge. And you're like, why can't you do this in one big stroke? Yeah, that's a great question. Why couldn't I? That's just not how I want to do this painting. It's not the style. A lot of painters do it that way. It's a great approach, and they would cringe at my method, probably. But, yeah. Now, I need to come in with some lights now and fix that up. I'll come back out with some burnt sienna right out of the tube. And now I'm starting to lighten it up a little bit, so out here, getting some more sunlight. That's what I'm going to tap in this color to create more sunlit dirt path. All right, and I can come in with this yellow ochre mix to really I'll come in with some dark along here and into here. Bring in some light here. Not trying to put it totally obscured into darkness. Bring in some more light up here. All right. Come in here with some of that beautiful yellow ochre mix I did. Pull in some darkness in here. Got it on my brush, so let's use it. Okay. kind of the light area where the sun's hitting. So I'm gonna add in some of that sunny color of dirt. And I want to remember that the dirt is now going to come out of here. Got to bring some dark in. Let me get some dark back in here. Bold colors. Alright, I know these are bold. I'm not trying to be subtle with this at all. But you know what? That's the way I enjoy painting. I'm tapping a few specks of... like it's coming up a little knob hill here into this wonderful meadow that will create this imagery of. Okay. Get some color mixed in there. Alrighty, I want it. Everybody has to discover their own style of painting. And I you know, there's people that are all about the long brush strokes, and a lot of them are, and I can't deny that that's not a beautiful way to paint. But I don't know, it doesn't. I don't enjoy it as much as I do this approach here. Just moving the paint in here and a flow of color and see, I can come in here too and put in some dark smidges. You can't hardly see that one. Let me do a little better job. Some places where the... okay. Alright. Now I got some really, really light stuff because I... You know, it's some of the masters did use small brush strokes, and I understand why. If they enjoy it the way, if they enjoyed it the way I do, then no wonder they used. It's as much about the delivery of each stroke as it is about, you know what, there's a good spot for some. Okay. I don't like that. I've got more mud there than anything. So I'm going to come back in and unmud that. You got to watch that. You don't want... if you don't have enough paint on your brush, you end up with mud rather than a beautiful brush stroke. work some of that. Alright. Maybe I'm getting a little sliver of sunlight right in there. Okay. What do you think? Now, again, coming in with my yellow ochre look. And some specks of that to add variety. These strokes of these different colors add variety. Variety adds movement. Movement adds realism. Realism creates detail, or something like that. What comes first, the movement or the detail or the realism? I don't know. But this is more of an abstract look. You know what I think? I'm going to tell myself. I think sometimes I think people who are bad painters just call everything they do abstract, so then they're not responsible for painting a good painting. It's an abstract. It's supposed to look that way. Yeah, maybe. So, do I paint abstract? I don't know. I don't even know what abstract is. Like I said, I wonder sometimes if abstract isn't the... look, I know great abstract when I see it. And sometimes I wonder if bad abstract is a result of just not knowing how to paint. I'm not saying names. I don't even have anybody in mind. Maybe I'm talking about myself. I want some light here. I gotta bring this up. I don't like what I've got going on right there. Why is that? I need some dark. I need some dark in there to... There's not enough variety there. Again, it looked too much like mud. Okay. Alright, I need some dark up there. Coming right out of here. Need to add some darks in here to break that up. So I'm not trying at all loosen that up with some linseed oil. Paint got a little stiff. That's what you want to use, linseed oil, to unstiffen it when you're doing this method. Otherwise, you don't want that. What I'm laying down here as far as color and movement. Get some of this going up this way. Down here, this is some shadow in here, but I'm going to have some sun in this area. That's why I started going lighter. Nice sunshiny area here. I want to bring in a little dark to break that up a little bit. Over here, I can work it around a little bit. Let's come out of these trees some more with it. Might start actually getting into some bigger brush strokes. Maybe bring out some of the burnt sienna and ivory black mixture right up next to the tree line. Bring in some linseed oil. Bring down some darkness into this. And behind this rock, and behind these rocks. That allows me to just clean off that brush a little bit in the process. Now I'll go back to some burnt sienna and start bringing that in here. If I need to lighten this up, I can. Just don't need to do that yet. Yeah, I can see I do need to do that right now. Very, very vibrant colors. I can't help it. I just can't help it. I want to make a statement with the colors. I figured God gave me a lot of colors and they're vibrant and beautiful, so I'm going to use them. So, and as I was joking earlier, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I think if I'm going to go for an abstract look at all, why not enjoy the wonderful colors that are dark and deep and rich? Why go abstract and be dull? Huh? Like I said, if you're going to make a mess or if you're going to do a bad painting, do it boldly. Do it boldly. And that's become my motto. And you produce fewer failures when you go bold. I think the timid brush strokes and the timid colors and the timid approach, I think it shows up in the emotion of our painting. It shows up in the difficulty. I don't know. I just think it's part of it, and this is going to be. All right. I'm definitely far enough now where I can. Where I can go into some bigger strokes. Let's just commit to some bigger strokes of color because I'm far enough back to where I can do that without killing the effect. But it doesn't mean I don't want to use a good amount of paint either. Doesn't mean I don't want to make striking marks. Some people really don't like this. I don't want to get into that. All right, you see the larger brush strokes again back here produce for us a sense of driving the eye away from it, and you're seeking out that detail that's just above. But we don't want to get too far into. And I guess that's what I'm going to say now is the trick is, I think, is where do the larger brush strokes meld into the smaller ones in order to create this. Now I'm going to go in now with some light colors because I just feel like I need some light. I'm going to get some more titanium white in this mixture, and I feel like I'm getting nowhere. Pull it out. Okay, that looks better. All right, that's nice and good texture. If you got bad texture, linseed oil. I've heard people. All right, so coming in here with these nice broad strokes, bringing in color into the painting. And now I can come down. Now let me come down with some, meld that in there now. Make that transition with some bigger transition colors. See, the strokes are larger, but not as large as the ones I just came out of. You gotta be careful rolling your brush because you don't want to create smudgies instead of brush strokes. And so watch that. Nothing worse than getting down your painting. You look up and you see, oh great, a smudgy. We're not smudgers, we're artists, we're painters. Tap and bring some of that down in here. Okay, now. This side. the shadows I'm putting in. I'll have to go back and fix those. And I know that my pathway, my colors are not quite right yet. Coming down there, too harsh of transition. So that's okay. I won't know how much I need to change it until I get some rocks. The medium gray. And the darker gray up here. Okay, darker gray here. All right, I'll come in with a light gray. I don't think I want very much of that up here. The light hits this a little bit. Medium gray. You can see I'm using different brush stroke methods. The rocks, the paint in the rocks is not designed to guide me. It's designed to create obstacles for my eyes to jump over, if that makes sense. And it gives me broader strokes, allows me to enjoy some. See there. Yeah, I'm liking these rocks. I think those are working good. Go with a light here. I can get some light in there, and it allows me to touch the edge of this. Maybe it's getting some sunlight on it. And come back with the next stage of gray. Push that dark into that. All right, now fix the top edge. Now I'm going to bring in some nice, oh, maybe that burnt sienna, some ultramarine blue, and make up a deep black. It's not the ivory black. I don't want to use the ivory black too much. I've been refraining from it, but all right, so all right, now I can come in here with this now here and bring this color in on this large rock here. Let me change the load on my brush. All right, just adding some, breaking up some of the color. I'm not trying to overwhelm it with that black so much, but over here, and I'm calling it black, but it's not from the black tube, it's from the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, which is why you don't need black so much. you have this, because it's a very deep dark color. Now I can come in with this darker one, and it's not going to feel quite as bad, or bad. Not going to feel quite as dark, because it'll be up against that color. And now I can play with that a little bit. Okay. My folder looking too round. Well, maybe I might have to go fix some of that. That's what I'm talking about. And maybe I can fix some of that with the ground cover color. Or just like that. Now I want some of that dark to emphasize that. That edge there. Okay. All right. Making different planes on the rock. Different jagged points. All right, now let's go to these. Okay. All right. Again, the brush strokes are as important as the color. Okay. You know, I need to bring this rock right up over as if it's behind this one. That's one thing I need to do. Okay, so now bring in some light along this edge. Get some light gray. I need to dress that stone up a bit, like so. And this one as well. Let's all right. Okay. I want some black. in the bottom of that one. Like so. All right. Now this one. Let's bring in some black on this end of it. Again, this is the ultramarine blue with the burnt sienna. A very powerful dark color. And that's why you really can get away with not using ivory black. Because it's a pretty quick and easy color to create. Clean some of that extra paint off. All right. Now, all right, I need some shadow back here. Okie dokie. Now get in some of this darker gray that I've been sitting on. I'll tap in some of this here to create contrast between the two rocks. Like so. Now, shadow. Use a very deep dark. Burnt sienna mixed in with some ultramarine blue to create a shadow that is not just black. Typically, you don't want just a black shadow. Which one is darker colors than what you have in your painting that are the same color to create darkness, especially when it's something, this kind of thing, where I'm not creating complete utter darkness. So, all right, moving on now to more rocks. And as you can tell, my rocks are brush strokes are obviously bigger by design, because that's I want the rocks. Well, in this case, these stones, these rocks, these boulders are obstacles in the trail that you must go around. So why not have my color march go around them as well? So anyway, moving on to some lighter colors that we need to put in these rocks. A lot of rocks will have two colors. It's okay if the edges are a little bit messy, because I don't want to create too jagged of edges. See, I like that. I need to put some more paint on. When in doubt, add more paint. I'm full of pearls of wisdom like that. Again, why? Boldness. Paint bold, and it means something to your viewer. If you paint timid, your lack of confidence comes through. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about that. These rocks are going to have some color on them. This one will have a speck of color on it. And let's bring in some of that rich, deep, dark mixed in with some of that light I just used to create some bold strokes on that edge. Okay, now gonna wipe that off. Go in with my deeper gray. And also bring that down in here. All right. Mix up some more ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Because that's a big mess on a brush. All right. All right, gotta clean that up. Dark gray. Now I need to throw down some texture in this color. Leave some brush strokes in that. You don't leave brush strokes, that's going to make your colors feel weak. And if your paintings feel weak, maybe it's because you're watering down your colors too much when you lay them out there. You're not allowing the colors to work. You're not allowing the brush strokes to work for you. And, you know, that could be the problem. It's worth a try. Use more paint. Okay. All right, now some burnt sienna, darken it up just a smidgen, and go in here and create a shadow. All right, I'm going to want some linseed oil in that mixture to butter that up. This is going to be some big strokes because this is a shadow from the tree, or from above. Okay, so we'll lay down a nice big line of color for that shadow. This is going to be the tricky part. Getting these shadows to look like shadows. It's tempting not to do it as a painter because you feel like you're really doing great until it's time to do the shadows. And then you feel like, oh no, what's wrong? My shadows now look like just, they look out of place. They don't look like shadows. Okay. Well, part of the reason could be your shadows don't have any texture to them. Just like and you want your shadows to, in a lot of cases, especially in a woodland scene like this, you don't want to have crisp edges on your shadows all over the place. One of the main reasons for that is the shadow's being cast on uneven ground, so why would my shadow then come out even? So you've got to break that edge up to that shadow. And you've got to break the edge up to the shadow then. Now see, I need a little more darkness in there too. And I don't want my strokes to get just be one line, because nothing on this board is one line. See, so now I can create a shadow that runs this way. Let me get some color. Not liking that. There we go. You had to get a little more color and off of it. Now, well, that is too much of a shadow there. Too dark, too deep. I'm gonna have to break that up. Just like this. This needs some shadow underneath it. And coming out from this side of it. So does this. I've got the shadow color mixed up so I can start to use it on these places. And maybe that's a little too dark. Yeah, I can come in here and add some richness to this color right up against here with some burnt sienna. And yeah, I think let's get some linseed oil. Let's see if I can't create some shadow here. Touching some shadows in here. Okay. Again, what I need you to realize is sometimes it is the brush work. And I emphasize that a lot because I think as new painters, we tend to try to avoid thinking about, I just want to get the right color of paint on there, then we want to get the right values on there. And in the process of all that, we forget that one of the skills, and it seems like, oh, it's too much to remember, but is brushstroke. But when you get to a point where your paintings begin to fall flat, maybe it's time to think about brush strokes and what those tend to mean to your painting and how your painting flows. And I can come up in here with some light now. Bring this down in here. Get some good coverage up there, but that's all right because this lighter color helps. Okay. Now, over in this corner, I'm going to bring in some really heavy dark dirt and soil because I don't want us to get hung up there. I can bring this down. I'm gonna bring some light into that. Now to break that up, it's a lot of light. It's gonna create maybe the illusion that that's where the sun is breaking through there. And like I said, we want to get into the darker, deeper strokes down here where this is, like we've gotten going on here. Oh, see now that's just craziness right there. That's too much shadow. Some ultramarine blue, not too much, but I've got to darken up a little bit more for the shadow on the burnt sienna. Because I gotta, don't want, it's gotta look like a shadow. Now that rolling of that brush is a great way to apply paint until you destroy your brush strokes. So be careful with that. You'll see painters do that, and if that fits some styles of painting better than others. So I like to always finish that up with a brush stroke. And we don't want this be harsh there. Okay, come back up here with some shadow. A little more burnt sienna in that. I'm going to simplify the shadows because we could lose this painting pretty quick by mucking with this too much. Alright. Those shadows would be hard, but here I'm coming in behind this with shadow on this rock. And come in some more darks over here. Getting larger brush strokes because I'm going to pull people's eyes away from here. So I can get away with it now. Because I've got structure to support the brush strokes. Get that shadow moving in there. And now, just to get things going, I'm going to add some more lights in here. And it's an opportunity to get some larger lights in. Okay. Just breaking up some areas where I feel like I've got not the right colors. Right. And where is it coming out of there? Let's put in some light here for contrast. Didn't like that? That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you just don't like what you've done, so you got to do it again. So coming over with some burnt sienna. Snap the color back. Some longer brush strokes. Gotta remember, longer does not mean sloppier, so be careful. You might say, oh, you're overworking it, you're muddying it up. I can still come back in with more confident marks here in a minute if I need to. Okay. Now I seem to be flowing better into my river of color. I messed up that rock just a little bit. Not to worry. I gotta come down here and fix some of that before I quit. I missed that rock completely. All right. Now, I have not even washed this brush once this whole time. All I've done is wipe it off. Okay. And I still do have my brush I used for the yellow that I have not touched. So, got 2 brushes is all I've done. Now I got to get some gray in those trees. And what do I do? What do I do? If you saw my video fixing the waterfall, whichever version, the 3 long versions or the hyperspeed 20-minute version. What you'll see there is that these trees are somewhat like doing the waterfall. Get some color in them, creating a bark look, like so. Okay, now this one is coming in behind these rocks, so be careful. And this one, some dark on the side of that tree and on that tree, and then on this tree, some dark. Okay, now bringing in some burnt sienna into the trunks of the trees to soften that up against the ground with all that burnt sienna. But it also, there is often some red in these trees, so it's not that big a deal. Tap that in for some darkness. All right. What we don't know is what's going on back here. So let's put that into some dark color. Now there's such a thing called lost edges. It's where you let the edges of one shape just fade into the other, and you're not sure where one begins and one ends. And you see this, you do see this often in nature, where does one begin and the other end, and it's sometimes difficult to see. And now I'm kind of taking some of this dark and using it on these trees to create some now in there, and I really want to emphasize these trees. I might come back, we'll see. If I need to do some more work on the tree itself. And then here is some more. Deep and dark forest around these lovely trees. And some nice dark colors here. There's going to be a tree right on the edge of that. Okay. I'm sorry. I know what I'm trying to do is paint trees and paint a forest and paint a picture. And I know that there's instructors out there who paint faster. And I'm sorry if I go, but I don't know. Is that what you want to do? Always be able to paint a 30-minute painting? It's very handy. I know when Bob Ross used to do it. I know it was. I watched old Bob Ross with my grandma. But that does not mean that you need to continue to do 30-minute paintings forever. And so maybe, just maybe, you need to advance yourself to thinking a little bigger. Because the difference between a 30-minute painting in 2 hours, what is it? Maybe it's the complexity. Maybe it's just the effort and putting in the time. So now I can bring this darkness down and out into my tree line and vice versa. Like so. Bring this around here. Like, what are you doing? You're messing up your tree. Maybe so. I'm also creating flow in right back here, especially where I need it to move. Okay. I haven't even bothered to step back to see how this stupid painting is looking. Been at this and going crazy, and I think it's coming along. I can see where I need to create flow that comes back this way. And not just alrighty. Bring some color in there. Track it right up in there. Fix some brush strokes. All right, I almost went over this too much and did away with my shadow. So bring some shadow back in there. Just like I need shadow here and here. Okay. I'm getting there now. Let's go in with some. This is very light. It's okay. I'm going to pick up some dark on my brush. I'll come in with some darker grays. Oh, what's going on here? got a little bit of blue in it. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Let's do some more here. I do want a little bit of more color there. Let's tap in some on this little tree. This big tree needs some dark. Needs some dark. Let's see. All right. I want to bring that, get that in there dark again. Okay. Okay. Now. Oh, I've just been painting away, not even talking. I'm creating the illusion of trees and shrubbery and brush back there with just in the deep dark forest, not bringing in any special color other than what I've already got on my palette here mixed up. And I think that needs to go back. That needs to go back. Get some darkness. And it gives me an opportunity to bring the darkness out in some places, then up some things. And I can come back in with, like I said, that mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, which is a great dark color that you don't need ivory black. You don't need to have ivory black if you don't want it. So here, I want to bring in some real darkness in here. And it almost fades away into the darkness. That dark contrasting color is important in there, so we have variety in that. You need variety in that background. You can't have all of one color. It's just like anywhere else in this painting. I'm taking advantages of the variety of color. Let's see, now I'm pushing that tree back further right there. And so now I need to bring in some burnt sienna to push it back in there a little further into the darkness of the forest. Bring that burnt sienna down. And now I can come back in with the darker ultramarine blue burnt sienna that I had, and then kind of now bring this color in here. Bring it down in there. All right, so I need to get right along this edge. I need to get some dark gray. I'm trying to put a tree trunk right on the edge of this. If I can. Like so. And now bring in some lighter color. So I put some dark in there. That's all right. I'm letting the color come alive. That's an excuse for being sloppy. But yeah, I mean, how do I make things okay, now this one needs to be darkened up. Bring that dark color into this edge here a little bit. Doesn't hurt at all. Let me back up and look. Yeah, we're getting that abstract look. I know this takes a long time, but do you enjoy painting or not? I guess if you want fast way to paint, then yeah, you can shortcut all this. And it's not that my way is the best way at all. I'm just showing you how I like to paint, how I like to use the brush strokes to tell as much as the story as the paint itself. and I still don't like that. I need to get in there with some really thick, dark color. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back in there later and fix that. I can take some of that color and use it elsewhere, maybe to take advantage of that. Careful what I'm doing. Again, bringing the strokes out of there. Shadows into the dirt trail. I do want some darkness down here. Because I've got shadow there. Okay. A little bit more ultramarine blue in this. And create some nice vibrant shadows along there. Okay. Into the shadow of that tree. Okay. Now, we work on that there tree a little bit and put in some color down here. Kind of ignored this corner. So we're going to tap in some color. Get to this rock. We're getting close to being done. We got the rock kind of part of it in the shadow. Getting into some darker shades of stone here. And now, let's bring in some This color represents pine needles that might be coming in from this side of the painting from the forest. So, not going to overdo it, but I do want to give some attention to the color. Even if it's just to bring in patches of it here or there. Up in here a little, it could be a little darker, so I'll let that bleed in. And yeah, a little more emphasis on it there. And it breaks up some of this darkness I've got up here as well. Okay. How's that looking? I think it's flowing up there pretty well. It's missing something still. Maybe I need to add in some grasses and such. I am getting the look I want. I just need a rock here. Okay. That's good. And maybe bring some grasses into here to break up the painting itself. I think overall, though, I like what I've got going on. I'm gonna do some greenery now. I need to get some green in this painting, some dark greens. So let's see how that looks. That's a deep dark green. From that one, I can go into a lot of other colors, shades of green. All right, so let's get started here on the greens. This is my dark green, and I want to bring it down into here some. Not enough green in my. It's pretty bright. Now I can come in with some lighter greens. See what I can do with those. And I want to put some of that green over here as well. Maybe some darker green. Now I'll get the lightest green and come in. Okay, now I need to break that up some with some of my other colors. I like the values of that. That red, get some yellow ochre in there. Get some light. And some light down here as well. And darken it some. Let's see some. Okay, so I can bring some green out of here too. And it's interesting that that darker green coming up out of these feels good. All right, now might come back and touch on that, but I did remember there was some green in these rocks. The green color in the rocks. See, and I don't like what I just did there. Give me some lighterness there. I come in some green on some of these rocks and give them some light green. I don't want to overdo it. So I think I can come in lighter on this. This is a dark rock. Now bring in some darker green. I think I can go with the dark green on this one. Bring through a streak of it. I don't like that rock now that I'm looking at it. It's too... Need to bring some color back into that. That's too deep. And now I think I can come in with some of that green now and actually fix that rock better. All right. Touched in some green here and there, not too much. Not trying to change all my rocks. All right, now gotta get some green back up in the trees here. Not everywhere, not on everything, but I want hints of it in there. And here, here, and I can go over some of this. These tree trunks with some green. And I'll come in with some light. Not too much though. Keep the light sparingly. There's not going to be a lot of it back in there. A little darker. Probably getting right in the way. All right. I'm just bringing in some color. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to bring in color. I'm not trying to mess up anything. Now I'm going to come back in here though. Let's see. Get some of this pine needle color. Yeah. Put some pine needles over here. Maybe some of in the grassy weeds. I don't want to get too much of that. I can tell right now. But now there was going to be a little bit of yellow in those rocks, but I want to bring down the chroma. So I want a duller yellow. So let's see what that looks like. Not in all the rocks, obviously. Some. Let's see what that looks like. I bring that into a tree. Oh, that's not going to work at all. It needs to be darker. Don't want that look. But let's see if I can't. Let's add in some warmth in there. I'm not sure I want the warmth. But that did. Color I made, I think, is good, but it's not buttery enough. When I say buttery, it's not the consistency to be able to really apply it to the trees I want to do. Alright, added a little coolness and some darker colors to the trees. Set them back a little bit further. I think I need to go darker still more. See what that does for me. Start back here. Don't like that. I do not like that. I'll leave that tuft of green coming over the top of that. Alright. I'm not getting my brush loaded properly. That's why I'm struggling right there. Not enough paint on your brush, and you get worse looking coverage. Did you know that? The problem is not typically too much paint on your brush. It's not enough. And so you end up struggling when you shouldn't have to, because you're spending too much time muddying things up with not enough paint. The answer to anti-mudding of your trees or any of your painting is not less paint on your brush. And the problem is when you start dabbling around without paint on your brush, that's when you muddy things. If you can lay down some paint or move some paint that's on your painting already, then you have something. Then you're not creating mud. a dry brush creates mud. All right, I think that pushes those back in there. And again, I'm my excuse for bad painting is I'm doing abstract. I like how that looks though. I think that gives it some nice color to the trees and such. And it livens up that whole I gotta get rid of that. It livens up that whole background area there. Switch brushes. Wipe that brush off. Okay. I'm gonna go with a liner brush because I am going to, and I'm gonna get it, going to make some grass now with this lighter color. Put some emphasis here. We've got to be careful. This might be too light, but let's give it a shot. More flowy. I need more flowiness. Gotta keep that brush loaded properly. I'm gonna go around and do this light grass, and then I need to come in and take some of the edge off of it because it might just stand out too much. We'll see. I'm not happy with maybe some back here. Two. All right, I'm just not getting it to flow the way I want it to. I want to have really smooth, liquidy paint to get it to come off these riggers, right? Some liners here. And you do want to save this step till last because if you got to go paint over the top of this stuff, you're gonna have a mess. All right. I'm gonna get some grass coming in from behind this. Another method, and hopefully this works well here so I don't mess things up, is I can take this this brush and flick it up like that, and I get that a less contrived tuft of grass in here, and do like that. Okay. Feels less structured because it's got more flow to it. And so this is a very I mean, honestly, this, what you see here is a very abstract looking painting, and then it's got this grass that almost seems like real, but it also adds, but I don't, you know, I like to paint this way. What can I say? I think that it adds something to the painting. The details that work reduce the parts and pieces that, like, I don't have to have details back in my trees because I have details out here along my trail and with my grasses, and so I don't want to overdo the grass. Not every patch of rocks or tree needs grass, but maybe I'll bring some up from around this tree. And they don't all have to. Again, I'm getting away from the focal point, so not all the grass has to look so real. I do want a better there as others. So we'll see how this looks. Give it a test run and see. So all I'm doing is taking some of the lighter toned edge off of that without I don't want to get rid of it. I just want to make it not stand out so much. So I can put in some other color in here. So as I was saying, I can offset that a little bit. See, just, and then I don't want to cover like every. I can even add some new blades of grass with this next to the others. I don't need to cover it up. That's not the point. I can go over some of the lighter. That's fine. See, like that. I can, but it subdues the brightness of it somewhat. Makes it still there, but come out turn that into a little tuft of grass. I'm going to use this darker color that I've been using, and I think I want to put some grass here. If I load up this spot there, I can drag it out. But I don't want this to be flat on the bottom. So much. All right. The reason I'm going with the darker color here is this is in the shade. Now I'll go over it just ever so slightly with some of the light to create some sense of light in there. Add some emphasis to it, like so. And I can come back here. I'm feeling good about this now. Creating some grass. That brush is loaded very well all of a sudden, and I want to take advantage of it. So maybe some nice big tufts back here. I think I do want to go back over that a little bit more. Okay. It's looking kind of good. I don't know about the whole composition. The composition in my brain and in my drawings seem to work better maybe than this, but let's put the focal point in. I've decided too much yellow and everything back there. I need to go with a blue. I need to bring some blue in. I need to a pale blue sky with some yellow maybe in there, but not the full thing like it is. And let's see what we can do with it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to want any yellow back here at all, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't mind if I get a little yellow haze in there from picking up the yellow, and that might be all I want from the yellow, is just a little of it bleeding through into my color. Here. Okay, I put quite a bit of blue, light blue in there. I wanted to get texture. And towards the bottom you can see some of the yellow. On that side you can see some of the brown. And I think that's okay. I don't want to pop quiz. How do you make mud? You don't get enough paint on your brush. That's how you make mud. See if I can't add some darker blue even to that sky here, and see if that doesn't add some dimension, because I don't want that to look too flat. You see, I don't want that to look too flat and just pale bluishness. Not with this composition I have here. That blue would be emphasized against the background in real life. Even if you were on this trail, that on a nice sunny warm day, this blue sky would seem bluer by virtue of you coming out of this deep, dark, cool. This tree, I need to create the illusion of that we're close to the edge of this clearing, so why wouldn't there be a little bit of sunlight poking through some places? Not a lot, because this is supposedly thick, and I don't want them to look too. See how dark they are, though? That's where the sun is popping through. Or I should say, you can see through the canopy. And in real life, you would see more through the canopy. But if you overdo this step, then you create a, then you foul it all up. And I don't want that problem. I just feel like this needs to be darker. And I think that's going to do it. I think I'm going to get that done. Okay. I went ahead and used that color in a couple spots. Again, like I said before, I don't like using color in only one place, so I'm gonna put it in a couple places. I see the value of it here, and make it coming out of here a little bit, here, and here. You don't need much of it because it's a dark color. Maybe. I feel like I could fiddle with this some more, but I think all in all, it's an interesting painting. The composition was such that, you know, I've got this deep dark with all these trees in there. I put the dark in there. I wanted to push the trees back, but not eliminate them. So there's dark and lights in them. The stones, the rocks are in place. The grasses give it some realism and some effect that takes away some of the boredom of just the rocks. Colors wind you up towards the focal point. Overall, it works. It works out. It achieves the goal. It was fun. It was another style of painting. Yes, long brush strokes is what a lot of people are teaching today, and I'm not opposed to that at all. I think if that's how you feel comfortable painting, then do that. I don't want to untrain you from what's working, but if you're struggling with that approach and that's not seems to be working, some of the masters use these smaller strokes, okay, like Monet, and he used these smaller strokes as an example. Sargent would use this smaller stroke approach, and what I'm proposing in mine is the duality of them. Some use the small strokes where I want them to lead me to where I want to go, and then also use the longer strokes where I want to move the eye away from. And so the smaller strokes allow me to put a lot of variation and variety in my landscape, and in that dirt. Otherwise, that dirt could just be, it could feel flat. And the brush strokes, the variation in colors, creates an illusion of not being flat. So, and that's what I'm after. Again, it's an interesting painting. All right, well, thanks for joining me on this painting adventure. And until next time, this is the Big Toad, and I am out.